Achieving certification requirements. A lot of courses focus very much on what certification will I get out of it. Will I get my NVQ level 2, 3, 4, or whatever it is? And you find that 3/4 of the course is all about that, rather than actually trying to do my job. Well, it's nice if you've got the luxury of doing educational side, but today perhaps we don't have so much luxury. We need to look at pulling out some of that educational component to really focus on the core business of what we need to provide. You know, smart curriculum design, there are now 60 or 70 different methods of delivering learning. People often jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, I found this new method, we need to deliver it. No, you've got to look very carefully. Have you got the infrastructure to deliver it? Can you sustain that delivery? Have you got the knowledge within your own departments to create that change of delivery? And what's the business case for it? If I've got 10 people need to go undergo training, I can't spend £100,000 developing a fancy e-learning course. Stick an instructor in front of them, knows what he's doing, an expert to make that move forward. So again, business cases all the time for all the different methods and media. Competency models. Have you got the right competencies? Do you know what the competencies are that you need the people to develop? And then even having the competencies, are you really driving those in to your learning and development experiences so that they do a one-to-one match? Some people, some departments I've seen are absolutely fantastic at doing this. Other departments, because they're very small, they're not able to achieve it as well as they might do. Goes without saying, affordable training solutions. Then managing the expenditures. Training should be run as a business with not so much profit and loss in the sense of this as a public sector, but in terms of knowing where all your expenditures go, having complete control of them, being able to track it, and then tracking back to department chief, you gave me this much money to develop your people. Here's the proof I've developed your people. Here's the improvement in your services at the customer end. Not here's my person trained because they've got a certificate on the wall or they've got a passed a test. Here's prioritative proof that my business or my sector has moved forward because I have got customer satisfaction ratings that are increasing, and I can tie that back to what I'm doing in learning and development. Supplier relationships, yeah, we're an outsourced provider. We outsource a lot of our work to other outsourced providers or other people. We use the whole chain up and down. It's a case of making those relationships work. And lastly, economies of scale there. Economies of scale is where you can not just simply buy more within your own department and therefore get a better value for money, but across departments. And one of the big things I'll talk about later on this afternoon is a very large program we're doing for the Ministry of Defence. Army, Navy, Air Force, separate units in separate colleges, combining them up so that we can get economies of scale on a very large program, but still maintain their individual identities. The Royal Air Force is the Royal Air Force, they are not the Army. But behind the scenes, you can start to share more and more services and therefore get those economies of scale moving forward. It's a bold step they'll take, and as I said, talk about that this afternoon for you. This last slide I've got here really is outsourcing to drive the performance forward. And by that also, of course, we will obviously reduce the cost at the same time, but really that's what we need to drive performance. It's back to the questions of, we heard before, what's the core business? What business are you in? What business do you want to be in? I think if you look truthfully at, you don't want to be in the IT business, you don't want to be in maybe the payroll business, and perhaps you should look at learning and development. Are you in the learning and development business? Clearly you have to have well-trained people, absolutely no question about that, but is that the business you're in? Is the business you're in providing the service directly to the public that you do? And then the drivers of, again, your business functions. What are those drivers? What are you trying to achieve? They lead back into the drivers that push the training and learning and development people. And then how are you going to determine the new needs? I'll talk about this afternoon about how we go about really looking at the visionary end of where departments are going, how we can work with them to create the right the right overall overarching solution for driving the whole of their learning development forward. It is about the needs at the far end, not the needs at the short end. You have to give an outsourced provider an output-based specification. If you tell them what to do, they'll do it. but they won't be bringing their expertise and their skills to bear as much as they could because you've told them what to do and how to do it and everything else. No. The world has moved on a lot since those days. And lastly, of course, what's the proposition? Let's face it, I'm private sector. We are here in my company, whether you all like it, my company has to make money. We have to have a deal at the end of the day where we can show return to our shareholders. Okay, many of the shareholders are just people like you. We invest in the stock market through our pensions and everything, so I have to show a return. Similarly, your side of the equation, you have to show that you're getting value for money. We have to get this, I hate to use the phrase, win-win together to make it work. So looking at the proposition, whether it's a long-term, short-term, we outsource your people, outsource your services provided, or we share things. In the MOD one, it's very much a sharing process to move it forward. So anyway, my time's up now, but that's just a flavour of perspectives we're seeing from the provider side of the market. Okay, thank you very much.